Hello. So today I'd like to talk to you about the endocannabinoid system, and this is in a response to a question that I've been asked a few times, and that is how can a single plant help treat so many different conditions? So when I explain that cannabis has helped me with my PMS, as well as with PTSD, big time, and that cannabis was a great ally during pregnancy, helping me with nausea and the stress of the time. Also, that was a key element during my labor, the labor of my second baby, helping me with pain and also to keep me more at ease. Also, that it was a part of my the nurturing time with my second baby. That cannabis is still a great helper balancing my hormones in this perimenopausal stage that I'm surfing at the moment, and that is helping me to sleep better and in generally to feel less anxious and stressed about the daily challenges and worries. So how can that be? Yes. So, and of course, I'm talking about my own experience here. But today I want to share with you how my this experience is backed up by a whole science, and the base of that science is our endocannabinoid system. So you may have heard or not about this system since it's pretty recent discovery. So this was only in late 80s when it was discovered the first cannabinoid receptor in a human brain. And only during the 90s, they started to study this very complex system in our body. So, along with those studies, the interest for cannabis plant also grew because, of course, if we have a system called endocannabinoid system in our body, if we produce naturally cannabinoids, then the phytocannabinoids that the cannabis plant, that are the main compounds of the cannabis plant, how can they help regulating and balancing our own endocannabinoid system when that one is maybe imbalanced? Well, so everything is very much in study and research, but as it grows and the nowadays probably cannabis plant is one of the plants that has more interest within the medical world, with new researches and new discoveries made every day, and those researches supported by governments who already legalize the use of cannabis, like the example of Canada, where, as you know, I got in touch with this plant that was prescribed to me as medicine. So the endocannabinoid system is this, as I said, this master control system in our bodies that is that we have receptors of in all our brain and body, different parts. So that explains that why this plant goes and works with different conditions. The main parts of our endocannabinoid system are the endocannabinoids, so those are the molecules that our body makes naturally, yes, without cannabis. And these are, we can imagine them like keys, and these are created on demand. So that means that the body creates those endocannabinoids when we are under stress, when the body perceives some kind of inflammation, and we know that inflammation can manifest in our body in different ways. Also in times of injury, yeah, the body produces those endocannabinoids, which the main ones are called 2-AG and anandamide. I'll make another video just for this last one, anandamide, because I find it very interesting since it was named with this anandamide. Ananda in Sanskrit means bliss, and I feel very much, yeah. So yeah, that we create, no, our body creates that, and also, as I'm gonna explain to you later, cannabis also mimics that bliss molecule. But anyway, so yeah, those are one of the parts of the endocannabinoid system. So those are the endocannabinoids. Then we have the receptors for those keys. If endocannabinoids are that like keys, we have receptors all over our body and brain that are like locks, where those endocannabinoids just fit in. Yeah. And the third part of our endocannabinoid system, which are the enzymes, which are those the enzymes that create those endocannabinoids and also break them down when, let's say, the job is done and that inflammation is not there anymore and it's not anymore needed, that endocannabinoid. So the receptors, remember the locks. So we have we call it CB1 and CB2, the two different kind of receptors. So I'm going to go a little bit into that so that you understand also how the main phytocannabinoids of cannabis plant, so THC and CBD, which probably you heard about, how they interact with those different receptors, main receptors. So the receptors, those CB1 and CB2, are everywhere in our brain and body, again, even in our nervous system, even in our organs, in our connective tissues, in our glands, the gut, the brain cells, the bone marrow, eh, dot, dot, dot. So the cannabinoid receptor 1, it's mainly found in the brain and the central nervous system. The central nervous system, as we know, controls basically how we think, we move, uh, and we feel. Yeah. And we learn also. So it's found also, the CB1 is found there, and also, very interesting for me, in the fascia. And the fascia is that tissue, that connective tissue that is under our skin, that watery tissue that connects all our body. And I find it very interesting for me, as you know, I make this myself, this self massage oils, and I self massage is a practice that my main practice every day. And to know that they are actually cannabinoid receptors all over under the skin explains why, for me also, it's also very different experience when I do it, also when I give that self massage with cannabis oil, or even more when I vape before a self massage practice. Just yeah, just for the record. So yeah, so also, that CB1 is also in the fat tissues, in the skeletal muscle, in our liver and lungs and pancreas, kidneys, adrenal glands, heart, in our thymus gland, our tonsils, dot, dot, dot again. So that's CB1. And then we have CB2, which is found also all over the body and brain, but just mainly in the peripheral areas. So that would be the immune system, the gut, yeah, the bone marrow, and these show up during brain injury or inflammation, those receptors. So, for instance, the way that THC works, THC mimics those endocannabinoids that our body naturally creates, like we said, 2-HG and also anandamide. So THC has the ability to mimic. The molecule is very similar, so it mimics those endocannabinoids. Yeah, those keys. Yeah. So it can help. It can regulate our body when we have a deficiency, which it's possible. It's studied also that some people, especially suffering PTSD and other conditions, we have less a minor production of endocannabinoids, and that would explain why THC has been, for me, so helpful in recovering from PTSD. So then CBD, for instance, that's another. It works a little bit different. It's a molecule that goes in many directions and can interact with many receptors, but doesn't bind with CBD with CB1 and CB2. It doesn't bind with those receptors unless there is THC. And that's why, no, if you maybe you heard of the importance of having a full spectrum in case you're using CBD, to make sure CBD oil, for instance, to make sure that oil has a full spectrum, meaning that it also has, even if it's a tiny bit of THC, for the CBD to act and be able to bind to those CB1 and CB2 receptors in your body. But anyways, CBD on its own also works with other parts in the body, with enzymes, with the TRP ion channels, which are like the pores and cell walls, which affect our body temperature, pain, inflammation. And it also, what makes CBD is that it inhibits, let's say, those enzymes that also break down, for instance, anandamide. CBD makes it so that those enzymes don't break down so much of those, let's say, happy molecules that we want. So that's why, in the long term, CBD also makes you feel better, and it works not as direct as THC, but it also has its own, let's say, maybe more holistic way of interacting with your body. So cannabinoids can also work outside the endocannabinoid system, and that's like, yeah, because all these cannabinoids, they like to go and bind with other parts. So that means that opens, and it has opened recently also, this endocannabinoid system. It has opened up in the scientific world. It has opened up, and it's opening up more and more possibilities, and now they are talking about an endocannabinoidome, and it was recently proposed by Dr. Vincenzo Di Marzo as a way of studying this complex endocannabinoid system and how it interacts with other systems in our body. So research is in progress, and there's going to be much more that we are going to enjoy and want to know about this plant. But for today, this is my answer to how this cure all, or almost all, plant acts and interacts with our body. So see you in the next one, and take care.